Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of Trading Trends, July 16th, 2025. I hope you guys enjoyed. I put up 2 live shorts last night. It was a Creed show last night. I went during, I got some video during higher because obviously trading trends in the market is in fact going higher. So I hope you appreciated that mantra and the sentiment from Scott Stapp and the boys who put on a tremendous show last night. And yes, I am tired. And it was awesome. Also, a programming note, I will be on vacation, so I'll have a video on Friday. Let me pull up the calendar here. I'll have a video on Friday to recap this tremendous new all-time high week. And then I will be out, and then I will return about that July 30th, 31st, around that time. So I'll try to have, a little bit of a forecast. So, I don't think anyone will be in the dark or anything, very bullish times here, but I'll put out a little bit of, what we usually do, 2-3 week outlook on the Friday video, in my absence. And like I said, I'll be back at the end of the month. Okie dokie. All right, let's share the doc. Some single stock edition today, the Wednesday edition of Trading Trends, staring at that ball in the sky. Let's get to it. Johnson & Johnson, Rigetti, almost never ever mentioned the same sentence, yet they both registered multiple standard deviation moves today. Massive moves for both stocks. We'll take a look. GLXY as well, big catch-up trade there in the crypto space in GLXY and the equities versus like a Coinbase and a Robinhood. So people were catching up to that today. While Asml, the ADR, got absolutely slammed, as did Baidu and Micron. It wasn't all green today, although the indices would tell you otherwise. A big day for the Russell, up 1%. And new all-time highs for Palantir. Tony, I hope you're watching. It did get to 151, and then it did close down. It closed down from there. But a great day for Palantir. New all-time highs for that stock. Rocket Lab, SMR, Robinhood, and Taiwan Semi. A lot of absolute risk on. Keep your offense on the field. For me, that would be Jalen Hurts and Saquon, tush push or otherwise. It's going all the way. Okay, so let's get into this. First, as we always do, I get excited for these shows because we get a lot of great names and such. So let me first go into the dashboard here that we have. So Tesla up 3.5%. This is a catch-up trade to me as well. There's very few, honestly, that are popping out in the market. Basically, the laggards. To me, it's Tesla. It is Apple, and they were the ones that are popping out. It was Ethereum, and now that has started to run. So the market is a one big roulette wheel right now. You want to have chips down everywhere. Tesla is a Mag 7 company, as is Apple. They will get funds at some point. A nice surge today for Tesla, about 3.5%. Stock overall is pretty much kind of doing nothing, down 20% on the year, up 25% year over year, stuck in that low 300s range. Other big movers on the day: AMD up 3% after its big day the other day. Palantir, as we said, added 1.5%. It got basically to 151, and it closed at high of day. I stand corrected, Tony. It did not sell off the highs. We'll take a look at the chart too on a longer term perspective. I was thinking of another stock. My apologies. So this closed, as far as I can tell here, at the highs today. Absolutely very bullish, obviously, for Palantir. Also, the sky is blue. Meta down 1%. Absolutely one of the best stocks. There are better than it, like a Palantir or a Robinhood or a Microsoft or a MicroStrategy or an iBit. Obviously, those are two Bitcoin proxies, but Meta, never give up on, Meta. It's been a darling, and obviously earnings are starting very, very soon for these names. You saw the financials continue today. Amazon's 1.5%. I like this one a little bit more than Meta right now. This one looks absolutely stellar, and it's just continuing along. Robinhood adds 4% today. Absolutely stellar. One of the best stocks in the market. Absolutely. And then Coinbase added 2.5% to nearly $400, and MicroStrategy, as we said, up 3%, and IBIT up 2.5% to $68. So let's take a look at the market here, intraday chart. A lot of volume today as well. I don't know if you were next to a TV or not. There were numbers out this morning. SPY finished with 88 million shares of volume. We average about, I want to say, 72 million in the past month. So above average. Interesting trading here. So as we go into intraday charts, here's the open. This is where you say, whoa, what happened here at 11:30? Did we get not invaded, but what happened here that put the market all the way down to 618 from 622.5? That's when apparently Trump was going to say that Powell should be fired and he better resign soon, or he's going to do this, that, or other, and say, maybe the president shouldn't meddle with the Federal Reserve, or hey, are they really important that in the first place? So that took SPY all the way down to 618 right here at 11:30 a.m. You see VWAP at that moment at 621.60, a nice resurgence. They bought it literally 30 minutes later at noon, and we held VWAP ever since, actually at 2:30, taking us above our 200 bar average. So basically what I have here, 5 days worth of a short-term time frame here. We went above that, really nice strength at 2:30, and we peaked at very close to 625, and then a very small sell-off to settle at 623.83 above VWAP, which was 622. So a nice strong day, totally erased anything about that Trump getting rid of Powell, so on and so forth. As I zoom out here on the SPY, so I'm big on the dates and 15-day cycles, but when something's strong, you got to kind of change your horizon a bit. It's kind of like driving with the blinders on during a hailstorm. So the market is very, very bullish. Obviously, when you're within 0.5% of new all-time highs, it's possible that we had a bearish accumulation begin on the 10th, 6 days ago. Follow me here. It's not going to be exactness, where it's a little bit more art than science, and that would end with a consolidation digestion point around the 25th of July. But here's the thing, the level for me is right around that 614, 615 mark. Of course, we were looking at this last week, and we were saying 606. We were always thinking that was going to be north of 6,000. That's where the buyers are going to have to, or will, I believe, and expect them to step in. But these moving averages here are rising. I believe that is where this market will take a breather to in about the next 9 days or so. I would say by the end of next week or so, probably when I will be out on vacation. I do think we'll be around 615, and they will buy it, and then we'll get towards the 6,300. So very bullish times in the market. Pick your spots. I do think it'll be a little bit more downside to up. But again, this fervor, especially with SMH, and there's a lot of leaders hitting highs, that's a lot of beautiful rotation, especially when you have industrials doing it, and they get this obvious potential catalyst in earnings. This could put fuel on this fire. You see this upper Bollinger Band as high as 635. For me right now, personally, SPY fully valued at right about like 628. And where did we get yesterday? 628. So I really was kind of surprised. You are getting some expansion here. But I don't think we go absolutely vertical from here. I think we consolidate, tap that 615, like I said, toward the end of next week, and then we get towards the 6,300. All right, let us get to some big movers today. This is, again, strap on. This is your single stock edition. This is some big movers. Let's get into it. Johnson & Johnson. Wow, I never thought I'd start this single stock show with Johnson & Johnson. Good old, very low vol Johnson & Johnson. Well, this thing was up. Look at this candle. I don't understand. Look at this. Johnson & Johnson, this must be one of the biggest days in its history. Up 6%. I got to see the news. I guess maybe the babies are giving them money now. That is absolutely, maybe they're making the powder and then they get a rebate or something, because that is just an absolutely ridiculous candle. Let me see. I did not see the actual news on Johnson & Johnson specific, so give me a sec. Look at the chart and reflect upon that as we get settled. This is a $375 billion company. They had earnings. Okay, there you go. I thought it was going to be something more than that. But no, just good old earnings. Wow. So again, just looking at the chart, zoomed out here. To me, fully valued 160, 161, and that was right around here. Boy, that was VWAP essentially of the day today, and it went to 166 and sold at 164. These guys peaked in March. Pretty crazy chart overall. I would say not super constructive, as it's lived under its rolling over 200-day moving average since April 1st. So it's been a kind of a failure this past quarter with mostly sub 50 RSI trading. Now it really has gathered its legs underneath it since June 30th, as it's closed above its 200-day moving average. So this is a very important level for Johnson & Johnson. This 155 even. It's literally day 2. It's above it. I want to see it hold that. I'm not so sure it's going to get back to the 170 highs of March. It really did an amazing rip-roaring job here. We'll see how much these animal spirits continue in it, but I do think this just gets towards 155 or so in the next 2 weeks or so. But we'll see. But very impressive. Johnson & Johnson overbought for the first time since March, since its 52-week highs. So if you own Johnson & Johnson, wow, absolute shocker. Crushed it on the earnings story. Wow. Yeah, they lifted the 2025 forecast and they have their tariff cost outlook. So there you go, money both ways. More money coming in end of the year, and you know what? We're not going to have as much cost due to the tariff. So boom, and that's when you get a move like that in a stock like that. Let's look at this one. I got a bunch of messages today too on this one. Rigetti Computing, wowie, up 32%, 30%. When all said and done, similar in terms of that candle, like a Johnson & Johnson. That's why we're reporting. We look at multiple standard deviation moves because it, is relative to itself in terms of its range. So for Johnson & Johnson, that was a candle similar to Rigetti. It's candle for itself today. So, and that's why I do it the way I do it. So Rigetti, obviously, you guys know this firm, absolute monster in the semiconductor space. Just a ridiculous 200-day moving average. Every reason in the world to be in the stock since mid-November. This thing hasn't had any, I don't even want to say anything resembling a loser profile, maybe since April. And that was really, it was just being range bound and being a healthy, consolidation. This is up 30% day today. Wow, to me, fully valued right around 14.5. I wouldn't want to personally chase this right here. I think over the next 2 weeks, this does give you a chance to come down. It sounds crazy, but right about 12.5 or so. These stocks do move. They move up and they move down. So just be patient. Obviously, if you called the move today, congrats. They, let me see, what was even the headline today? They hit 99.5% fidelity milestone on their modular 36 qubit system. So I think maybe it was more than that. Volume, I don't think was amazing, but just a ridiculous move. These guys are trying to get back to their 52-week highs of 21.5. Like I said, fully valued right here at about 14.5 to 15. I don't want to chase it. Trees don't go to the sky. The absolute high they took it was 17.23, and they sold it off. But overall, obviously, a very strong day. Rigetti overbought for the first time since the first week of the year, the week it's come off of its 52-week high, when it crazy is when the stock went from $21 to $6 in a week. So understand what you're getting with this stock, but a ridiculous chart holding its 200-day since November with a basically going vertical. What can you say? But I do think this will give you a chance at about 12.5 or so. That's why I would love to step in or for an entry in about 2 weeks or so. But Rigetti, massive day today. Next one, folks, we're talking about this. We're talking about Rigetti with with Steve Strazza today, and I was talking about Galaxy on the Spaces the other day. JC was mentioning but Galaxy being the big catch-up trade in the crypto space. So these guys peaked. Obviously, everyone knows Bitcoin is kicking butt now. Galaxy peaked in mid-May at 26.5, and here we are here after a huge surge today, up 17% to 24.5. Great, very strong trading in this group since the second it's recaptured its 200-day moving average late April. Here is the Galaxy chart. In terms of catch-up trade, I mean, again, it did a lot today. This is a perfect entry. Again, these guys just started trading. Let me see. Is this correct for my data provider? Yeah. So this is kind of a newer issue. So I typically don't, put these in, but did have a monster move today. These guys basically started trading in mid-May. It peaked the day it came out. So this is kind of a laggard. Everyone's been pouring into Robinhood and such, and SoFi and things like that. But it's overall, look at it from inception right here, this May 16th. Largely, it's been 46 RSI and above. The lowest it's gone is 17.5, up 24.5 here. Personally, I would like an entry right about 20.5. Just stick with the volatility of the group. Maybe Bitcoin shaves off and they kind of exit this one a little bit. I like this at about 20. I do think, like everything else in the market, it gets an allocation, and this is a catch-up trade like everything else. You want to flag names like this that largely hold above 50 RSI. That's, to me, immediately football season, that's a team that immediately at least goes 8-8, but probably playoff bound, 9-7. I'm still thinking of the old 16-game season. But a 17-game season now. You know what I mean? But like that's a winning record, playoff bound, year in, year out. You want to trust those and reverse for the shorts. I want to see someone that almost never gets above 55. That to me confirms that they're a loser and they'll continue to be a loser. But this Galaxy, yeah, I totally believe in the catch-up trade. An entry at 20 is desirable with a target of 24. So it did basically everything in 2 days. So pick your spots. This one I think is going to try and settle in, I think, towards $21. It's going to be volatile over the next week or so, but I don't like it above 24. We'll see what happens. Very sharp day of trading though today. 17%. Let me see these guys. News, in terms of earnings today, or not even sure if that was their earnings today. I can't find it. It says their earnings call is August 5th. So not sure. But a monster move for Galaxy. All right, let's see what got kicked today. And we're going to focus on the global names. It was the global risk that picked up today. So ASML, this thing is an absolute, look at these charts now. I was showing you Rigetti and Galaxy and Johnson & Johnson. Now I'll show you ASML. These guys are a $320 billion European behemoth in semiconductors and all that stuff. Well, here's the chart. The nasty looking chart. No reason really to own this since last September. These guys bottomed in April 7th with our 52-week low here in the SPY market at 579. And so they're trying to eke a comeback here as of May 13th. It really has tried. And today, a big drop. This 8% move for multiple reasons. It is now under 50 RSI, which it hasn't had since April 23rd, really before it's tried to have this comeback. And now it's getting very squeaking closer to its 200 moving average, which it hasn't since, late May. So ASML, there's obviously many semiconductors that you can play. This is not my favorite. I wouldn't go with the European semiconductor. But, they just had a warning. Share slump as tariff uncertainty prompts a growth warning. They may not achieve 2026 growth as chip makers face U.S. tariff uncertainty. Why would you, not pour into an NVIDIA that's hitting $4 trillion market cap and new all-time highs as they can deal with China? That's just an easy bifurcation to me in a market, especially like global versus globally and being in the same subsector and industry. So for me personally, yes, there's probably catch-up trade in this as well. I do suspect it'll hold 727. This 200 moving average to me seems like a low bar. I'm kind of surprised how low it got today, but I do think it'll hold. And I'm just kind of giving mixed messages here. I think 727 will hold. And then it'll basically try and get towards that 790 level again. But to me, a frustrating trade. There's much better places to be in this space. But ASML got its teeth kicked in today. Next, another one, more bifurcation in the Chinese markets. Baidu down 7.5%. This thing is getting rocked. This is potentially very important to Kembe rejection right above the 200 moving average. It did it a lot yesterday. It got as high as so the moving average 200 day is at $89 even. This thing got to 94 yesterday, and now I would say almost collapsed here all the way down to 86.5. There is a lot of movement within Chinese tech, so I suggest you really be mindful. Trend following is an easier way to do it than going into fundamentals of these different kind of consumer discretionary and tech firms. Anyway, I do not like Baidu for the next week or so. I think this was an important, meaningful rejection. The 200-day is barely squeaking higher. It's going up literally. It just started going down again, actually, by 3 cents a day. It's basically flat at 89.30. We closed below it today. I don't like this one for the next 2 weeks. China looks good, so this tailwind, will drag that up. But I do think this goes south over the next 2 weeks to at least $83, potentially $81. And I think it, began today in a big move. I think it ends when all said and done in about 2 weeks or a week to 2 weeks or closer to here. And this thing will be, tussling with 3-month lows. And this may very well prove to be resistance, this 89.30, this 200 moving average. These guys more and more looking like a very firm top back here. Last October, when the Chinese stimulus was first being announced, it looks like they got their money then, as it were, from investors and haven't been overbought since. at that 116 level. So, and the next one that got hit, Micron. Yikes. Down 3%. That is a big move for these guys. So I don't want to say yikes. These guys hit highs June 26th. I take back my yikes. I'll downgrade that to just an owie because 3% move for Micron is pretty significant. These guys are $130 billion companies. So understand that we're talking about half the size, a little less than half the size than ASML. But these guys actually produce the same amount of revenue, about $35 billion a year. So just pretty interesting statistics. Great flows, honestly, in Micron since about Cinco de Mayo right here. And what I mean by that is shaking money flow as well, the strength on the close. And it's really helped surge it into overbought conditions since mid-May. And then look at this, standing room only to buy, standing room only similar to that Creed show last night. Right here, June 4th all the way to June 30th. My gosh, overbought, hold me now. I'm 6 feet from the edge and I'm thinking maybe 6 feet so far down. I could have been doing Creed things this whole time. My wife probably would be even less happy with me. So anyway, so these guys peaked June 26th at call it $130. Wowie. And then now started to decline today, a 3% move lower. I think this chart looks good. Again, 50 RSI trading since April 30th when the 200-day moving average starting to stabilize. These guys look good to me. Great flows. I think this base is minimum and maybe goes a little bit lower to 116. I don't expect that to happen, but it's possible. I like an entry under 120, and I think this heads to 130 in about 2 to 3 weeks. So Micron looking like a decent play here. It's tough in the semiconductor space because you always just flock to NVIDIA. We're now in AMD, Broadcom. There's lots of competition. That's why for me, an ASML is easy to sniff out, even in an area where I want to allocate to catch-up trades. But this looks good. There's going to be a little bit more, volatility for this. I do like entries, like I said, under 119 or so on this. Understand your risk reward. It could go down another 5 points, but I do think, like I said, up top, it's up 14. So down 5 up 14. Those are trades I typically like to do. A derivatives trade could be, a simple one. You could look at an August, September, 115 or 120 spread rather, or you can buy the 120 August calls, or you can buy the 115 in the monies for 2 weeks from now. But I do think this base is here and then runs. This has been a nice consolidation off that top. Woo! All right, if you have a ticker or something, why don't you type it in, and then we will maybe look at it. All right, top 3 gainers of the past 5 days. There is no Creed ticker. I just wanted to type it. Okay, so top 3 gainers of the past 5 days. My gosh, have you lived under a rock? If you've not seen MP, your number 1 stock returner of the past week, up 92% over the past 5 days. Absolutely an amazing, rare earth play with, U.S. security and all this. MP Materials, just in terms of the revenue, they do $200 million in annual revenue. They have a $10 billion market cap now at this $58 price. Very big in producing rare earth metals in the Western Hemisphere, materials and magnetics. These guys, all-time highs, I'm pretty sure. There we go. All-time highs yesterday at $63, call it, and then it sold off a little bit here. And it closed the day up 55 bips. So I think this is going to have some more zigs and zags higher, obviously, but I do pay attention to convergences and a lot of coiling here with moving averages. And I see a lot of bunching here at former resistance. And now the moving averages here at the 20-day of $38, and we are way, way, way above that. So overall bullish momentum, look at this expansion. You're getting higher, overbought, picking up volume essentially in the same week of. I mean, I'm not going to say this is done, very soon. I think bullish momentum will continue that to take this higher for the next week or so. But I don't love chasing it, honestly, above, you're going to think I'm crazy, but above $45. This just looks absolutely crazy. This almost reminds me of Circle, and then it started coming right down. That was an interesting rejection off of 63. It had yesterday, and then today they tried it again to 63, and then they Dikembe'd it all the way to close it at 58.5. So pretty interesting. I want to see what it does in the following days, but still overbought for this name, and it's largely been overbought for 4.5 weeks now. So ever since it traded with 30 annual. But MP, your best stock this week, up 92% in 5 days. Absolutely staggering. Then it gets a little, so my next returner, this gets a little bit crazy because there's Cubic Computing and Rigetti, and there's a lot of sub $20 stocks with a lot of volume, but in the past 3 months, I typically don't like to give a lot of credence. Hold me now. Credence to those kinds of names. So I went with more of a track record. So you can't ignore a monster like this. SMR up 28%. So you got MP in the heavens up a robust 92%. And then you have SMR way below there, up 28%, which is still an amazing return. New all-time highs on this puppy is SMR. This thing's an absolute monster as well. These guys, small modular reactor technology solutions out of Oregon. Company was founded in 2007. A $12 billion market cap now, off of just $50 million in revenue. So basically pre-revenue. A big day today. A huge surge, up 7% today. 7% today to new all-time highs. Similar to what I said about MP, zigzags. I don't want to chase it here, but I think this has a little more upside. I do think it'll have bullishness for the next, 1 to 2 weeks, more so than MP, in my opinion. This looks like it wants to get to like $47, $48. A nice day today. I know it's not saying a lot, but an entry here personally around $37 is warranted. And you had pretty much every day last week. Of course, Monday morning quarterback, all that, hindsight 50-50. But here I personally, wouldn't chase it here. But you do have probably another $1 or $2 of upside. Nice close outside the Bollinger, closed at the highs today. New all-time highs. One of your leaders in the stock market year over year. Don't forget, this thing in September was $7, and we're trading at 46. Last I checked, that's more than a six-bagger. So, and largely again, 50 RSI since April 23rd. Very meaningful rotation to specific names, specific groups on specific dates, and it keeps on coming up. May 23rd, May 15th, we keep seeing it. And, sometimes they're in the same area, sometimes they're not. That's why it's nice to have different strategies on different systems, on different names. Also, there's another thing that stood out here. Kind of like we were calling on PLTR, hasn't happened yet. We'll take a look at the chart, the bearish divergence. So you're not overbought here. Yes, it barely scratched and got to a 69.75, so I'll give you a 70 there. But on outside Bollinger Band close, there's offsetting messages. It did close at the absolute tippy top high. So, they were upset. The bell rang essentially because they want to bid this thing up again tomorrow. But that is a pretty, meaningful divergence in terms of not getting above 70 in the RSI. We'll see how meaningful it is. It still looks like, to me, it's probably going to take a while, but it looks like it could get to $39, but that could take weeks. So, probably like 46, 47, 44 zigs and zags, but with a bullish bias. Woo! All right, next, ASTS was the third best stock to be. So it was MP, SMR, ASTS. If you were in these or just one of these, you crushed it. ASTS up almost just as much as SMR. This was up 23%. Let's take a look at the chart, see if it's setting up. So this was, again, a couple of days ago. This had a beautiful setup here at $44 was essentially an entry. Very similar from the last chart. More recent strength, I would say, in ASTS. This hasn't been a superstar like Nuscale, for example, since mid-late April. These guys more so were kind of doing, I don't want to say nothing, but these guys recently just broke out June 4th. So the play was yours here, 25, and then it quickly went to 53. This thing doubles in a month. That's how this plays. So here, personally, I would like an entry at 44. Maybe it moves like that, although I do think this has a nice 1 to 2 weeks. My pattern on this, it's 56 or new all-time highs for this group. So congrats if you caught it, a couple of days ago from 45 to 56. I think you got another $3 or so in a nice 2 weeks ahead for Ast Spacemobile, those flying taxis. All right, top 3 losers of the past 5 days. If you were in these spots, ouchie. I found this interesting because we highlighted Bloom a couple of weeks ago. Bloom Energy has been the worst stock, and I really had to zoom in on these from actual meaningful stocks, not, like garbage, thinly traded, nothing names. Bloom Energy, a $6 billion company here with the whole fuel cell system space, has been your worst name, down an average of 3% a day, basically what it did today. It's been doing it for the past week, down 15% over the past 5 days. A clear short-term top here, July 9th at 29, and it's going all the way to 24. I think this, again, so a rising 200-day moving average, although it really contested with it from mid-April, 2 months, although it did resolve higher through early June, and now we got a clean Dikembe. It tried to make this 52-week high, again, a new high, and it could not quite do it, and then a quick collapse, even though registering overbought. Very nice, strong over RSI trading as well since May the 9th. Tougher chart here, I'll be honest. A big, it's had a very nasty 5 days. I think this has a rough week or so. This probably wants to get towards $22 to $23. I don't think it's done to the downside. I think it gets to about where my cursor is, right around that 23.60-ish level. And then I think that would be your opportunity to try and scoop this up on the way to 27. That could be a nice move in a way to play this this fuel cell space. But Bloom Energy, the worst stock I have this week, down 15%. Next, we're going to the tech space. I guess teamwork does not make the dream work all the time. Jira, Atlassian, down. Oh, it's actually up 1.5% today, but one of the second worst place to be this week, down 14%. These guys have been losing, nearly 3% a day. Look at it. That's over so this is a crazy chart too, because you have a rising 200-day moving average, but it hasn't touched it since before Memorial Day. So you're basically 2 months in the penalty box, barely, had a little meerkat here above its 50 RSI trading, and overall, this thing is still struggling with this 190 level. Don't like this right here. I don't think the bottom absolutely falls out, but this is likely to have another a nasty continuation of this. I don't want to say it's going to be down another 14% in the next 5 days, but I do think this takes about another week or so to base right around the 180 level. I do think this has about another $10 or so to the downside, and then that'll be your invitation to get almost what's a dead cat bounce, 180 to 200. But I wouldn't overall. Don't love this name here with clear highs back in February 326. Yikes. All right, and then the third worst place to be, Gap. So a little bit of losers from everywhere. You get some from some fuel cell names. You get from some software, and then you get from retail clothing. Gap down 2% today. These guys have been down almost pretty much down 2% every day. You see the chart here. It's very interesting to me. This is a crazy chart. We highlighted this too. This is absolutely crazy. Gap May 22nd, 52-week highs. They announced earnings a few days later. Ugly setup. I think they guided down, and I don't know. Basically said people aren't going to wear our clothes anymore. It seems biggest volume day of the year for the company. Over 55 million shares. They struggled with a 200-day moving average, which is 22.5, until literally just 3 days ago. Still, and then it's recently fell out of bed. I think these guys have a rough 2 weeks, although zigs and zags with what I expect to be right around a 20 floor. I don't think it'll drop too much more from here, and they'll get some zigs and zags. But a crazy chart, as I do think that 22.5 is going to prove to be a resistance point. So you can sell the 22.5 calls. There's volatility in names, so be careful, but that will also pay you. And again, buyers have not stepped into this since that earnings report. Potentially their next report at the end of August, fortunes reverse, but I don't think so. We'll see. Top 3 trades of the past 5 days. Long MP, long SMR, long ASTS. If you've been doing that, you absolutely crushed it this week. Go get yourself a pina colada and put on a Creed record and just have fun because you're crushing it. All right, one of my favorite parts of the whole show, and I get a lot of trade ideas from this, and derivative strategies. Top 3 trades of the past 52 weeks. Let's do it. And this is an easy confirmation here. Rocket Lab, number 1 year over year, 751% to a new all-time high today. So you don't have to doubt yourself and think that, oh, this is the last summer story, or it needs this to work, or it needs that to work. No, this is the best stock from last July 16th through this July 16th. And if you need to know what the numbers were last year, it was a $4 stock, and today it's pretty much 48, and that is a 12-bagger. And what more can you say? I personally want to chase this right here. I was pounding the table here on June 17th, saying buy this at $26. Here is my cursor. Right here, VWAP that day was $26. We said buy it with a target of $32 in the next two-ish weeks, right before like the holiday. And now here we are above that point. So I personally wouldn't chase right here. It's the best stock year over year. I mean, it's almost like Bitcoin. You got to allocate something to this. Look at this as well. Not only just many peers have overbought and never oversold. Always something good you want to see. It's like having a quarterback that like just never throws an interception in a game, never gets flustered, always bid up. These guys really, I mean, April was the last time when the SPY was crashing to 4,800 in the SPX was the last time you had a chance to get these guys on sale. Really strong internals on this. I think your next pullback, you're going to have to be patient. I do think it takes about 2-ish weeks, but I do think this comes down to about $36 or a reduction of about $12. It's crazy. This thing was up 7% today. Of course, earnings are on August 7th. These guys make money. So this is an actual firm. It's not, some of these other ones like Pipe Dream with 50 million in revenue. Rocket Lab is an actual corporation with 450 million in revenue yearly. So they actually make money. And new all-time highs today, just a ridiculous chart. I would wait and pick my spots for about that 37, 38 entry in about 2, maybe 3 weeks. But if you're in this one, congratulations. Rocket Lab, best stock in the market, up 751 year over year. Number 2, let's get an update on this. I was pounding the table on this, was talking to some people on X about it. Okay, low. We said you want to pick, same thing with players, going back to the sports analogy, you want to pick players that have, awesome years, MVP-like years, but bad games, maybe bad 2 games, bad series, not much more than that. Okay, low, right around, so July 3rd, we were saying buy this at $54. Right here, VWAP today was $53. Said love the setup there. Anything under 54 is absolutely great. The target is 72. Recently, I mean, how long can you keep a good man down? Also look at this. Beautiful 50 above 50 RSI trading since April 23rd. Very similar trading like a Rocket Lab in terms of strength. And now that we've gone all the way, as I said, from 54, and now today we're at 64. A nice up 5.5% a day. This one's going to continue in the near term. I like this one for next week. This looks like it's headed to about $70 in the next 1 week or so. To about, the 52-week high on this is 73.5. I'm not so sure it gets to that, but the bull momentum for this is not done. This will get towards, like I said, I think about another $70, up to $70, or nearly another 10% in the next week. Did half of it today, for goodness sakes. So, okay, low, your second best stock of the year, up 630%. And of course, the one everyone wants to always talk about, it's your third best stock of the year, which hit a new all-time high today, similar like a Rocket Lab. These things are, like Schwarber in the All-Star game. They are hitting strides right now, all-time highs today, okay? This isn't a last fall story or an election, whatever. You need rates, blah, blah, blah. This thing's working right now. Look at this chart. This is ridiculous. Nobody told Palantir April 7th was the U.S. Stock market had a mini crash. That was as good as it got. It's that's crazy. For SPY low, or the Palantir low here was $67. You were still trading 2% above the 200-day moving average when the SPY was at its lows. People were selling Europe, financials, U.S. stock market, and still Palantir was trading 2% above a vertical 200-day moving average. But needless to say, what I'm saying is the stock market has this stock has a ridiculous performance. In terms of Palantir, we've been talking about this divergence here. Okay, so again, new all-time highs, and yet you're at 66, 65 in the RSI. I don't like to see that. This can persist for a little bit. I'll tell you, I think because Tony is bullish and he wants to see this touch 153. Today it tagged 151.5, and then it closed at 150.80 to be up 1.5%. A very strong day. All I'll say is what you want to see is at least see this consolidate, at least hold 148, 149. But otherwise, to be very honest with you, it does look like this will be at 140 in about 2 weeks-ish time. So I think there's a world where we're both right, Tony. I do think this very likely hits 153 in the coming days because it does look like the bullish momentum wants to continue. But as sure as I am of that, I do think this pierces and gets to 140 or a $10 reduction in the next 2 weeks. And that's going to be your invitation to get a setup into this, similar like you just saw with an OK low, 2 weeks ago. So you got to swing at your pitches when they come. So Palantir, new all-time highs today. Rocket Lab, new all-time highs today. OK low is probably going to do it soon. Hope you get something from all this. I will see y'all later. Home and